Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. It was so funny the last time I did a live session. Someone sent me a DM about actually starting on time. that I start on time, which I don't think was a complaint. I think they were actually trying to compliment. At least I hope that's what it was. But anyways, yes. Once the time starts, I'm getting started. I'm rolling. I prepare either 40, 30, 45, or 60 minutes of content for you. So I want to bring that time to you, bring you value, and give you everything that you need during that time frame. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into the comments because also I want to welcome everybody who is joining. We are streaming on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And often I get asked, will this recording be available? If you actually follow us on YouTube, Leader Keys Unlocked, then you can follow and get all of these sessions, see the replays. They're always there. We're building our library. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started and jump in and welcome everybody to today's session. This is You Are Your Brand. It's one of my favorite sessions to actually conduct. It is the kind of like the entry level version of a much larger workshop that I do called creating your board of directors. And even though that doesn't sound like a branding workshop, it is because your board of directors is actually one of the most important actions that you can actually put together. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but for now, let's jump into the content of this particular session and talk about the brand, how you can build a distinctive identity that sets you apart in the professional world. So let's get into it, shall we? All right. So my name is Latrice Torres. I am the CEO and principal consultant of Leader Keys Consulting. You will see hashtag making people awesome, and you will see hashtag Leader Keys Unlocked. We say that a lot as we go on and talk about our organization. So the people behind this are myself, Courtney Brown, who's my learning and career consultant, who actually is new to the team and who I will be building and eventually will be facilitating some of these sessions as well. And then the most important people behind this session are the people who consume all of this information, that come in, that are here, who raise their hand, who DM me, who comment on our post. It's all of you who are just ready to be awesomer. Like that's usually what people come in and they tell me when they connect with me. So you are very important to this. You are what help us to drive the community, the conversations, and the content that we bring to you on each and every one of these events. Leader Keys, a little bit about us. So I founded the company in 2020 and it was just me all the way up until 2024. I now have a team who helps me. That combined team has over 25 years of HR, L&D, and DEI experience. We develop individuals, leaders, teams, and organizations. And also one of our flagship programs that you're going to hear a lot about in May is the Career Accelerator for Black women. We're hyper focused on actually building and creating programs that elevate and boost Black women in workplaces across the US and across the world. Our services, again, are for individuals. We do learning workshops and career coaching. For organizations, we do L&D strategy, and also I do HR upskilling. It's one of my little bread and butter things that I like to do. In terms of the career coaching, there is a note that I want to make because I haven't said it in a long time, but if you visit my website, you'll see this information. But really what I focus on in career coaching are people who are in career transition. I really like to help people who are saying, Latrice, I'm ready for, something else. I want to explore something new, or I'm trying to level up. I'm moving from being an individual contributor to a people manager. Any transition is our bread and butter. We also do a lot of community service, and all of our services are actually 50% off for anyone who is a veteran or someone who is a family member of a veteran or active duty member. And then I also do a lot of prison to population workshops as well. So that's a little bit about our services. We are on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, all under Leader Keys Unlocked. All right, back to brand. Why are we talking about your brand? Well, I think I have this point on every single session. Someone is always looking. Even if you don't think that they are, they are. Someone's always looking. And we just sometimes forget to represent ourselves. So let me come back on camera really quickly because I want to kind of just talk to you guys and just, have some FaceTime about this specific one. We forget to represent ourselves, especially when we work for organizations. We spend a lot of time, promoting what the organization is doing. Sometimes actually we do absolutely nothing. We don't think about branding at all, whether it's for our organization or for ourselves, right? We just tend to kind of exist in this universe where sometimes, unfortunately, we put ourselves kind of at the bottom of the list. Or the latest thing that I've seen over the last couple of years, anytime I see somebody who is out and they're promoting, they say they're representing themselves, they have to go out and say that disclaimer, these views are my own and they do not represent the company that I work for and everything, all because, again, we are just in this world of hypersensitivity in terms of like the things that we are going to say and the things that we believe in or support. And I'm talking about just from a professional. I'm not even talking about, politics or religion or anything like that. I'm just talking about just professionally. But if you are actually representing your thoughts and feelings professionally, then there shouldn't really actually be anything for you to worry about. Right? You should be out talking about your subject matter expertise within your industry or those that are adjacent to it. So those things should all be safe spaces. And if they're not safe spaces, then you probably want to think about your brand and the way that you actually are representing yourself. So again, thinking about yourself in these things is really, really important for you to do in order for you to actually have like this more holistic view to the way that you exist out in this universe, particularly professionally. All right. We grow and we evolve, but our brand is core. What I mean about that is, if we talk about the brand of an organization, you can't talk about brand without talking about culture. Right? Think about any brand that is out there. There's a culture up underneath it. Okay, so I live and work and operate and everything in New Jersey. But anybody who knows me knows that I am a Cali girl. I am absolutely a Cali girl. Absolutely. In fact, hold on, I got to come back on camera when I say that so that y'all know that I mean this. I am a Cali, I'm a West Sider, I'm a Cali girl until I die, right? Okay, so one of the brands that I love, my favorite brand is In-N-Out Burger. I don't care who wants to argue with me. We can take it to the streets, argue about that, but In-N-Out is my favorite brand. There are some things that are about In-N-Out that makes it my favorite brand outside of, hands down, and I will stand 10 toes down on this, the best burger that ever existed, right? I go to the West Coast and go straight to In-N-Out. But besides the In-N-Out burger, the brand is my favorite because of the way that you feel it the moment you even see In-N-Out, like on a billboard as you are driving down the highway, or when you get off the plane and you see the In-N-Out billboard, you get this feeling that I'm going to get there and I'm going to truly be In-N-Out, even if there's a long line. And an In-N-Out long line and a Chick-fil-A long line are two different long lines, right? But In-N-Out burger, for anybody who's never had it, you basically you go through the drive-through. Even if you go and sit down, you can do that. But the main experience is to go to the drive-through, order your burger, get it the way that you want it. They have all kinds of options. There's options we know about. There's secret menus you don't know about. There's sauces. Like, it's a whole entire, like I said, culture, right? And on top of that, people are always friendly. I have never had anybody be mean to me at In-N-Out. It's just never even happened, right? People are really friendly. It's always nice and clean, no matter which ones I've been in. Even when I've been in and there might be a homeless person that's in there. That homeless person is like keeping to themselves and just, waiting for somebody to give them a French fry, right? But it's always like a very organized process in terms of the way that your food is cooked, how it's delivered to you, no matter what, right? It's a whole entire thing. And in fact, you have to go to In-N-Out University to work at In-N-Out. And that is a really big thing because they are instilling what it is to represent In and Out, what that whole brand is going to look like, what you're supposed to show up like. All of those things go into the culture. It's the brand, right? But the brand is its culture and the culture is its brand. There are a lot of examples out there. I just use In and Out because I miss it all the time. And yesterday I had a habit burger, but I really wanted that In and Out. But I take what I can get. But the thing is that it resonates with what we're talking about today because you have to treat yourself exactly like that. And your brand is basically the culture. It's the whole entire thing of who you are. And you have to understand what that is first before you can start portraying that to everyone outward, right? So that's the thing, okay? Your brand is your core. You grow, you evolve, you learn different things, but the core of you, that's got to be solid, baby. You got to make sure that that is together, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to dive into that. All right. The last piece, again, it's always on every workshop. You own this part. So act accordingly. No one's out there telling you what your brand is. And if they are, then you're doing something wrong. Straight up, you're doing something wrong. So you own this part. Definitely act accordingly. Make sure that you understand what you're doing. So I'm going to give you all about 10 seconds. And what I want you to do is I want to make sure you have some paper and a pen and a pencil, a crayon, the needle to poke yourself to write in blood. I don't care what you do, but I want you to take notes because we're going to walk through a process today where we're going to get you starting to think about your brand. Even if you think your brand is on point and it's on lock, I still want you to go through this activity. If you've signed on today, you've got some curiosity. So that means there's at least a little bit of work that you need to do. So I'm going to empower you to help you actually do that. So let's dig into it. It's a process, and that process actually has a couple of components. Before we get into those components, I want to clarify something. We are talking about professional brand today. You have a personal brand, which again is part of that core, but we are going to focus on very specifically your professional brand. And there are some important things to understand because there's a difference between those two things. So instead of you trying to figure out what those differences are, I broke a cardinal rule of like not having a lot of stuff on a slide. I'm going to put a lot of stuff on a slide, but I think it's because it's important for you to know the difference between a personal brand and a professional brand. Okay, there's 5 categories to help you kind of get your mind around the difference between the two. So let's break them down. So the first one is focus. When you are focusing on your personal brand, then you're talking about the overall perception and reputation. And this can include some professional aspects, but it also is more dependent upon like your personal qualities, your values, your passions, right? Where your professional brand takes those things into consideration, but it focuses specifically on the aspects that relate to your career or your professional endeavors. So it's going to be hyper focused on your skills, your expertise, your achievements relevant to your profession and your industry. All right. That's the difference between the two. So basically, your personal brand actually is inside of your professional brand. That's what I talk about when I say it's your core. That's what I mean by that. Okay. That's focus. Now, audience. Your audience, when you're focused on your personal brand, it's broader. Right? It may include your friends, your family, your social acquaintances, as well as professional contacts, right? But that they're not the leader. It's more your friends, your family, your social acquaintances. Think of it more as almost like an influencer that has not actually been picked up and representing the brand, right? It's before that stage, or in terms of like them establishing what they are an influencer of, right? That's what, when they're working on their personal brand. When they start working on their professional brand, that's when they get really hyper specific on a very specific thing that they are focused on being an influencer for, right? And I'm just using influencer as just an example because it's very visible, right? But your professional brand audience is more narrowly defined. This is going to be your colleagues, your industry peers, your potential employers or potential clients, etc. Right? That's who your audience is for your professional brand. Now, the people again in your personal brand, that audience absolutely could be a part of it as well. But again, this is more narrowly defined. This is who you're going to on a day-to-day basis, who you're going to talk to. So let's take that influencer example again, where the influencer is just reaching out to everyone, right? And the people who they want to buy the products that they're engaging in and things like that. When they're talking about their professional brand, that's when they're trying to get other sponsors. That's when they're trying to get other influences to co-brand with them. That's when they're trying to actually expand at the end of the day, who they impact in the industry that they are looking to be an influencer in. That's the difference between personal brand, professional brand. All right. You all with me? What's in the comments? Hey, Janine. Oh my God, I love seeing your name. All right, cool. All right, let's talk about messaging. Personal brand versus the professional brand. In your personal brand, your messaging is more holistic. The content and the messaging has a wide range of topics. It can include hobbies, interests, values, lifestyle choices, in addition to professional achievements. So we're on the third category here, and you should see a pattern here where we got some of your personal brand may have some professional attributes. Your professional brand will definitely have some of your personal attributes, right? When we look at messaging from a professional brand perspective, it's more focused. The approach to content and messaging is emphasizing career-related topics like industry trends and expertise and achievements and professional development. To put it short, this is where you are really trying to show like thought leadership. And I know that my digital strategist is on here and she's listening. And that is the big thing that I had to learn in terms of really leveraging and scaling what I'm trying to put out into the world with Leader Keys, is that I'm no longer focused on what Latrice is putting out in the world. I have to focus on what Leader Keys is putting out in the world. And that thought leadership is a part of that. And she has said to me many times, you're like, you got so many great things to say. You've got to share that out with the world, right? So that's why some of these things are happening in terms of the messaging that you're seeing, not only from Leader Keys, but also from Latrice. Because again, that it's core. You have to have some of that personal in that professional, but the professional is the leader when it comes down to messaging for your professional brand. All right, 2 more to go. Goals. In your personal brand, your goal is to build relationships, foster connections, establish credibility, express individuality, things like that. Not different from your professional brand. Those same things are happening, except it's more career oriented, right? Such as advancing in your profession or attracting career opportunities, gaining recognition as a subject matter expert, that thought leadership I just mentioned, enhancing your professional reputation. Those are the goals. Those are different types of goals. Also, with your professional branding, your goals have to be intrinsically linked to some of the bottom line things like your revenue goals and things like that, right? So it's your impact when you're talking about your professional brand. It's no longer, your goals are no longer just inward facing of what you are looking to accomplish. Your professional brand also has goals of how you want to impact people. What do you want them to walk away with? Right. So it has both an intrinsic and an extrinsic component to it. Okay. And finally, visibility. Your personal brand It's going to be across various platforms, including social media, blogs, speaking engagements, community involvement. It's encompassing both online and offline interactions. You're probably thinking, well, wouldn't that be true for your professional brand? Yep. All those things. And you're concentrating on professional settings. And some of those channels can be things like LinkedIn and YouTube, and even a business Facebook or Instagram page, right? It's also the professional networking, and you're doing that at industry events, right? And conferences. Maybe it's presenting workshops there, maybe it's a breakout session, maybe it's a roundtable, right? And then also specialized publications, the things where you are a thought leader, you're contributing because that publication provides thought leadership and you happen to be one of them, right? So that's what you're doing. You want to make sure that it's concentrated in those professional settings. That's the difference between your professional brand and your personal brand. All right. So focusing on career expertise, on achievements. Your clients are inside of your more narrowly defined, it's career oriented, it's in the settings that it needs to be in. Are we on the same page? Professional branding. That's what we're talking about today. All right. I hope you're still with me and then think, oh, this is not what I thought we were going to talk about. But I'm here to stretch your imagination, stretch your thoughts in terms of what we really want to focus on in terms of professional branding. So at the end of the day, you are your brand. It's you. It's the product, the service, everything, the support. It's you. Okay, so this involves lots of different steps. Remember, I told you to get some paper and pencil. I hope while I was talking, you got something, and you're going to do it. Otherwise, like I said, you can rewatch this and share this off of the YouTube page. So there's two halves to this in terms of what we're going to walk through and what you're going to do after this session. So the first half is going to be thinking about kind of that current state. Where are you right now? Because we can't set any goals and think about what we're trying to do without having the you are here, right? It's sort of like the goal setting that I talk about of, the same concept of going to the mall. If you go to the mall and you don't know what store you're going to go to, you're just going to walk around. You're going to walk around, you're going to buy stuff you probably don't need or just because you just want it. You're going to sit at the food court and eat stuff you probably don't eat, right? So typically you go, and the first thing that's at the entrance is that directory. And the directory is there because it has all of the stores, all the places you could go. And you go, and the first thing you look for is that you are here sticker, whether it's a star or a circle, whatever it is, you look for that. We're doing exactly the same thing right now. But that also means that you're going to have to do the second part, which is where do you want to go, right? Knowing what that is. So that's what these two halves are. Where you're at starts with some self-reflection, understanding your current brand, positioning your strengths, and auditing your digital presence. And where you're going is all around the actions of developing your brand voice, building a board of directors, leveraging your mentors or getting them, and then committing to that action. You got to commit to doing that. So we're going to start that process right now. So on your paper, I want you to take a moment and I want you to do a quick reflection. You do not have to finish this right now during this session. What I want you to do is at least write down these two prompts. And this could be your journal prompt. It could be your prompt tonight before you go to bed, tomorrow morning when you wake up. It could be right now. It could be 30 minutes after the session, whatever you need to do. But your two questions are, what am I passionate about? And then what am I really good at? So let me come on camera real quick. Let me talk to you. These are two different questions. What are you passionate about, right? Versus what are you really good at? Now, you could be really good at something you're passionate about, but you also can have absolutely no idea how to do what you're passionate about. Okay. So it goes both ways. You also can be not so good at something, but be really, really passionate about it. It goes all different directions. So let me give an example of that because I may have repeated myself right there. So I want to make sure I do this correctly. I I am really, really passionate about eating. I know it's a funny example, but I am. In fact, I'm passionate about critiquing food to the extent that I would love to just be a food critic. Are you kidding? I would love to do that. That would be my thing. That's like my dream job to do that. Just travel the world and eat and be a food critic, right? However, I don't think I would be really good at it, even though I'm really good at eating. I don't think I would be really good at being a critic about it. Why? Because I have really particular tastes. I love to try everything, but I think I would probably be hypercritical. Here's why. I eat, and it does not matter how good it is. The first thought I have, I want to go home and cook that. Either because A, I think I can cook it better, or B, because I want to be able to recreate that experience, right? So I would always have that in my head. I don't know if I could give something like an unbiased, opinion of it and then like make that my job, like my full-time job. I'm not sure if I could do that because I don't think I would be really good at being a food critic. I'd be really good at eating it because I'm passionate about food, right? So that's just an example. So again, what are you passionate about versus what are you really good at? Let's take this into the workplace, right? So one of the things I'm really, really good at inside of the workplace, and I got caught in this trap. Anybody who's ever worked with me or worked around me can attest to this. I'm really, really good at event planning. However, I am not passionate about it. I'm very good at it, but I don't want to. It's there's so much. I don't even want to be. I don't like even project management to really be honest, right? But I love program development. I'm passionate about teaching others. I'm very passionate about the things that at my core of my job I do. But you tell me to plan an event and everything, I will do it because I'm very good at it. But I will tell you right now, and this may come as a shocker to some people, and maybe even some people who are listening and like, wait, but you're doing this event. Yeah, I don't really want to because I'm very good at it. I can, right? But I'm not really passionate about it. So there's things like that, right? That you can do it. I can do a budget, but I hate doing budgets. I absolutely hate it. I hate everything about numbers. I married a CFA for that reason, right? I don't like doing it. Okay. All right. So let's get back into it. I want you to complete that activity. What are you passionate about? What are you really good about? Because later on, when you start talking about your brand, this becomes really, really important because the things that you're going to put out into the universe are more than most likely going to be the things that you are both passionate about and you're good at. All right. So those things can be in alignment. And when they are, your professional brand soars. Okay. Now, we're also going to do a little bit of an audit. So on your piece of paper, I want you to put down these the different areas of social media, and I want you to do a quick audit. Right. So what you're going to do is you're going to put down Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, YouTube, and then put in anything else. Right. And then I want you to rate your usage. I want you to put a 3 next to the things that you go into frequently. And frequently, I mean maybe once a day. Right. Infrequently meaning more like once a week, or give that a 2. And then if you just don't even have it, like I don't even have an X, I didn't have a Twitter, let alone an X. Okay, then put a 1 next to that, right? And then I want you to think about these things, like what is the purpose of each one of these things and how would you use them? Why are they different? So the reason why we're talking about this in your professional brand is because I would argue to say your professional brand will at a minimum exist on at least 3 of these platforms. If it is not, That's fine, but you want to think about what you may be missing. Okay, so let's walk through them then. Facebook. Facebook, most of the time, people think of more your personal, right? Your personal brand. Probably if that's what this workshop was about, then we would talk more about Facebook. However, Facebook does do a lot of things that the other platforms do not do. It gives you a lot of freedom in terms of sharing links, sharing activities, doing different things, interaction. It gives you engagement. It gives you a lot of different things that you may not be able to get in other places, right? Even the format of your content, you get more freedom with Facebook. And remember, I said there's a personal element in your professional brand. You're always going to bring your friends and your family along your professional journey. That's just how we roll in life, right? So if you are doing that, then it's great to tap into that. So there's no reason to also not actually activate that in terms of your professional brand. You also have the Meta Suite, business suite, that allows you to do things from a business perspective that you can't do in some of these other platforms. It gives you insight to analytics. And I will say this, one of the things I've learned over time is that you actually can get a much broader reach inside of the Facebook land than you can in a lot of the other social media platforms. You just have to activate it in that way and very purposeful for you in terms of your professional brand. Instagram, again, it has some of its limitations, but it also has its perks too, right? It's more short form, it's quicker, it allows for you to get engagement in terms of followers much quicker than probably any other platform. With barring TikTok, because I think TikTok, you get a whole lot of value out of that too. But there are things to learn around Instagram in terms of business wise that you may want to tap into. And right now, you may even be thinking, am I activating that? Is that something that I'm leveraging? What do I need to learn about it in order to leverage it better? Right? Short form videos, things like that, things that just play better on Instagram than they're going to play in any other space. Right? So it has its purpose. LinkedIn, I often say, I have to make a disclaimer. I am not a paid spokesperson for LinkedIn, but I do tend to do a whole lot of commercials about it because there's just so much value. That the one thing you can't, in terms of your professional brand, you can't take away is that networking will always, always, always be king. And for everyone who comes to me, every client that I have in terms of a career clients that come to me and ask me about, their presence and how to make connections and things like that, I'm always astounded when someone tells me they don't have a LinkedIn and they're a professional. And they'll give me every reason. I don't do social media, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But when you get ready to get a job, again, networking will always reign supreme because it's still 76% of jobs are still obtained through somebody you know. Why would you not leverage the space that has more professionals in it than any other space? Right? That's its purpose. I will never say that LinkedIn has any kind of personal purpose. It's professional, and I think they will stand behind that as well. There may be reasons to use it personally, but primarily, if you strip that backwards, it's still professional. So you definitely, again, like the opening slide said, act accordingly. You want to activate LinkedIn where the connections become strategic and really, really valuable. So I am going to commercial a Leader Keys offering because I do a LinkedIn session. I do two LinkedIn sessions actually for free. And those LinkedIn sessions really deep dive into how to leverage your LinkedIn effectively. Part one talks about having a really kick ass profile. And I think it's really important to understand every single aspect of what your profile does and does not do. All right. So there's that. That's part one. Part two, we go into the networking, and I go through a lot of really great strategies around networking. I want to talk about that for just a second. So I'm going to come back on screen. When we talk about networking on LinkedIn, it's more than just the connections and follows. It's really speaking to your audience, because remember, I talked a lot about the um, subject matter expertise, thought leadership, things like that. This is the platform to do that. Right. So if you're not leveraging that, if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook right now, and not LinkedIn, or if you're on LinkedIn and you're really just not actively scaling and leveraging it for your professional brand, this is your time. This is your time to actually pivot and do that. The reason for it is because, again, when you get ready to come to me and say, "Hey, Latrice, I'm looking for a new job," I'm going to go in and I'm going to go look at what's going on. How active are you on LinkedIn? Where's your voice? Do people know that you're looking for a job? Will they care when you say it? Right? If for no other purpose, it's for that, then it's worth the effort to have a great profile and to also have a way that you're connecting to people very strategically. So make sure you jump into one of those sessions. I believe part one, we had some issues with recording. Part two is actually on the YouTube page. So you can go and you can pick that up. And then part one, I'll be doing again, I think later on this month or early in May. Okay. Not sorry, early in June. So we're about to be May tomorrow. Okay. TikTok. Let's get back into this. So TikTok, again, it serves several different purposes. There's something really interesting about TikTok in terms of its algorithm, because the way that TikTok works, it works a little bit differently from other platforms where your whole entire thing is engagement and followers and connections and things like that, where TikTok is all about the play. Let me explain. The more your video, your content gets played and repeated, that's actually impacting that algorithm more than anything else. It's driving it up. So it is not even necessarily how many unique. They actually want you to repeatedly watch the same video. Okay, let me give you an example of that, and then it'll make sense. You know how when you're watching one of those videos where people are dancing, for instance, and they're doing the dance really quickly. There's no explanation or anything. They do the dance, they move on, and then the video plays again, like without you doing anything. It just plays again and again and again, right? The reason why that it's doing that is because, one, it knows that's content you need to see over and over again. Because what you're probably doing is learning how to do that dance, right? So the more you see it, the more you pick it up. You see it, you pause it, you stop it, you go back, you replay it, and then like that. That's the power of that. That's why videos like that do better than informational videos that give you, lots of long information. The informational videos that do really well are the ones that give you the information really, really quick, so quick that you're like, wait, what did I just hear? Let me go. Oh, I got to play that again. Right? That's the power of TikTok. And when you do that, it scales and it grows, and its algorithm actually does all of the magic for you. So you just have to learn how to use and purpose that effectively for your professional brand. With X, again, you have the limited characters, so you're really actually trying to put things that are very impactful, very quick. I don't think many people use X for the professional branding, but if it's a space that works for you, go for it, right? And then finally, YouTube. YouTube is really great for instance, what I'm doing right now. This content all goes there. And I really, really love building a library. And I love when professionals do this, because you usually go watch a video in the also famous YouTube University, right? And then what happens? You go, did I have something else? And you watch something else, and you watch something else. So the subscribing model, all of those things work really, really well in terms of establishing yourself as a subject matter expert. The more robust your YouTube channel is, the better. Every time you go live, record it, upload it, put it onto YouTube. Anytime you put content on any other platform, record it, put it on YouTube. Like, there's short form, there's long form, there's so many different ways to actually leverage. And I would argue to say pretty much every piece of content that you put anywhere else, you can put onto YouTube and essentially build yourself a library. All right. Do not sleep on YouTube. YouTube also monetizes faster than any of the other platforms. I think YouTube will always be, that it will always be the top of the pick of when in terms of social media, and especially for your professional branding, right? Again, how many things have you learned off of YouTube University? So it can't be, they're doing something right, right? Are you using it? And then other, what else? What are the other things? What are the, is it the blogs? Is it the in-person things? What else is on there, right? What would you add into this list? Make sure that you put those things in the comments. I would love to hear from everyone. And what would you like to see on this list? What would you like for us to dive deeper into? What would you like for me to take out of this and then make a separate workshop for it? Just, yeah, talk to us. Let us know. All right. When you are done with that, then you want your prompt at this point is, then what have you realized or confirmed about your digital presence, right? What could you let go of? What can you add to it? What can you do better? How can you use it differently, right? Really, really educate yourself. Social media is built to just be kind of, you do it and you don't think twice about it. Not many people have taken a class on Facebook, a class on Instagram. There's a reason for that. It's because it's supposed to be easy for you to be able to just go on and just do it, right? But you need to know how to do it right. So taking a class on marketing on Instagram, or your professional, building a professional brand on TikTok, like those, that's absolutely worth the education, right? Go out and get it. I will not say that I actually know anything about any of it. I know a little bit about a lot. So I would say to go out and consume what you need in order to really look and think about how you can leverage all of these different spaces. All right. My bird has decided to talk too, so I guess he's going to be in this recording. He's flying around. All right. Okay. So let's talk about finding, using, and elevating your brand voice, right? When we talk about this, we're talking about, well, then how do you actually go about finding it and then using it and then elevating it? One, you want to first get very, very clear on audience. Who are you talking to? Right? If you're a professional brand, let's take mine. Let's come back on camera and let's talk about my own professional brand. Right? Even before I started Leader Keys, my professional brand was all about education. It was all about making people awesome. I've actually had the hashtag making people awesome hashtag probably about 6, 7 years before Leader Keys was a thing, before I even thought of having my own business. So this was while I was still working in corporate, and I got that feedback. I actually came up with that hashtag because I would do a lot of talking to people about their individual development plans, about their professional aspirations, about how they wanted to develop, what things they wanted to have inside of the organization, outside of it, all of those things. So I was actually doing a lot of this career consulting way before I even thought it was a thing that I could independently do, right? And people would be like, I swear you just make me more awesome. Yeah. And I would get that over and over again. So I just really picked that up and started to use that, right? And I understand when I did pivot into Lear Keys that my audience was going to be professionals who are looking to make major changes in their careers. That is my audience. In fact, someone asked me a little while ago about doing a session for like those who are just entering the workforce. And I go, that's actually not my audience. My audience is not early grads. The reason for that is because they're still finding and figuring out what that career is going to look like. And that's a different space. I can do that, but that's not the audience that really excites me, engages me, and that I can impact the most. I can impact those who are in their careers, that are looking to make a change, that are looking to level up, they're trying to get to the next stage, whatever it is. That's who I impact. And I impact them because they're spending their time thinking about how they can pivot the things they already do into something even greater. And again, that excites me. And I know that I can impact and help people do that because it's something even that I've been able to do in my career. So if I'm able to do that, I know that I can help others. So that's what I'm passionate about. Remember the whole, what are you passionate about? What do you do well? There it is. That's where it comes, right? You also are focusing on your brand personality. What does that look like? For Leader Keys, it's authentic and unapologetic. It's literally the hashtag for 2024, but it's that. That again, feedback. So, what have people told you? What have people said to you? And many times I have someone say, I really, really love that you just speak in plain English. You don't use the corporate babble. You don't try to sit there and just spend time trying to impress people with all kinds of lingo. You just say what you want to say and you say it the way it needs to be said so that people can hear it. And that's it. It's authentic again and unapologetic, right? That's the personality. That's a part of the values, being consistent about it, differentiating yourself from others. And let me pause there because that one's a very important one. What are you bringing to the table that other people are not bringing to the table, right? For me, it was the expertise that I've gained over time and which other people are bringing to the table. But for me, having the ability to do that without all of the red tape and without the gatekeeping, that's the differentiation. I do not gatekeep. I do not care about high potential succession plan. All of that stuff that happens in the corporate environment doesn't matter. Leader Keys is here to open up those gates, open up those locks, and be able to actually do the things you may not be able to get anywhere else. Right. I also know again who my audience is, and I speak to them very, very, very directly. And I also know that that audience needs to hear what I say specifically from me. Right. Follow me to understand what I mean by that, but you'll get it. And this is what you need to think about. What is that differentiation you have in yourself and that value that you're putting out into the world? Right. You also got to be able to adapt to the context, listen and engage, and then evolve over time. You're always continuously growing. That's a part of your professional brand. As a professional, we never stop growing, right? So why would your brand stop growing? It's the same exact thing. What Leader Keys looked like 3 years ago is very different from what Leader Keys looks like now, right? As it should be. Just like your professional brand is the same thing. Okay. So think about that evolution and what that means to you and what you can do very purposely to keep moving those things forward. Okay. So this next piece is going to take us about 5 minutes to go through. And what I want to say is these next two slides are slides that are inside of a bigger program that I do. It's a masterclass that I teach again on creating your personal board of directors for your career. Finding and activating your mentors. It's a piece of this whole entire thing that you drive, right? It's not about the audience. It's not about the impact. It's you driving this for your development. You have your lifetime mentor. That's the person who's inspiring, motivating, and empowering you. So they're focusing on visioning and researching. The aspirational mentor has walked your path and is in your direct career trajectory. Basically, who you want to be when you grow up. Find that person and then make them your mentor, right? Because they're going to help you with gap analysis, development planning, filling in the gaps, right? And then the topical or situational mentor. These are the people who have the knowledge, skill, or experience that you are looking to gain. And this one is a short-term relationship. The other two may be a year, 2, 3 years. The lifetime ones is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lifetime, right? But the topical one is 3 to 6 months. They're there to get that knowledge, skill, or experience. And they probably are being activated from your conversations from your aspirational mentor. That's usually what is happening. You need to learn. Here's a gap that you have. Let me connect you with somebody who has that knowledge, skill, or experience for you to learn from them. Okay. So that's the quick edited down version of that. The other piece of that is that the mentors are only one position on your professional board of directors because they're all focused on what you could be, right? What could be in terms of your career. That's what they're focused on. But there's 6 other spots at a minimum on your professional board of directors. And like I said, this is a larger class called Creating Your Professional Board of Directors. It is a paid master class that is, if you are interested, you can contact us via our website, right? But it's on as listed. What's inside of that class is listed there. But we talk about this professional board of directors very, very directly in terms of these seats. So the mentor seat, the sponsor, person who advocates for you when you're not in the room, right? They open the doors, they create the opportunities. Your mentees, you don't want to forget to lead, right? And have mentees yourself. They bring fresh eyes and perspective. So they're important to have on your board as well. You need to have a coach because they promote ideation and change. You need that connector, networker, right? Like it's just the person who does the introductions. Hey, I know this person who can meet this, or you need to talk to that person, that thing, right? That's it. That's what they do. All right. You also need the contrarian. I do have to shout out my husband because he uses this term all the time. Actually, he uses the term in terms of being the contrarian in the room. But basically, this is the person who challenges you, right? Who pushes you. You need that person as well. Even if they're the person that you typically are arguing with, they're on your board of directors. You need to actively have them on your board of directors. And to the extent that you would say, tell me what's wrong with this idea, right? And let them go. So it's the person who's going to challenge you, who's going to actually tell you what's wrong. You need that person too. They got to be on that board. And then lastly, you need an accountability partner. This is the person who they're doing all the checks and balances. Are you doing what you say you're going to do? Are you exploring what you say you're going to explore? Are you connecting in the ways you said you were going to connect, right? Typically, that is a two-way partnership. Right? Usually the accountability partner is exactly that. They're a partner. So that means you're a partner to them as well. If you commit to do that for them, they will commit to doing that for you. This often comes in the form of probably like a best friend or a best work friend, that type of thing. Because we know there's a difference, right? There's a best work friend. That's a whole nother class. But that's what it usually looks like, right? So you've got to have that accountability partner. That's your board of directors. Again, this is a whole entire class by itself about how to identify them, how to engage them, how to build it, what's the timelines around it, what do the meetings sound like. That's what that master class sounds like, right? So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a piece of that. Again, it's a part of your professional brand because these are also the people who are going to be advocates for that brand, right? And people who know you and know you've got this professional board of directors, they know you mean business about your career, right? And they treat and act accordingly. So you want to have that professional board of directors because it's how you drive your professional brand forward. All right. We got there with some time, a little bit of time in there. So what questions do you all have for me? What questions or thoughts? I find that I get a lot of questions after my session because I think it's taking it all in and digesting it and kind of looking through it. And that is totally fine as well. But yeah, if you've got any questions, pop them into the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. I did see a question a little bit earlier, and it was talking about the difference between I think what you mean by this, a coach and a mentor. Okay, so if we were talking about the difference between a coach and a mentor, so a coach usually is actually providing some action around things, right? They're helping you uncover and answer the questions and the thoughts that you have, where your mentor is actually where you're unloading the 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 details of the experience of the things that you're going through, right? Because they are focused on what that can eventually turn into and advising you, right? A coach doesn't technically advise you, they're promoting your ideals, for promoting your ability to come up with those ideals. That's why I use the word ideation, and helping you identify the changes you need to make and helping you uncover the ways to do that, right? That's what a coach does, where a mentor is actually activating and helping with opening those doors and getting you to the places that you need to do and taking action on the things that you uncover and discover with your coach. So it's a good question. I actually used to have, and I may post this resource. It was called "What Do You Need," and it broke down the difference between a coach, a mentor, an advisor, and a consultant. And I remember putting that together when I felt like there was like this confusion on what types of services that I provided and where the line was in terms of those services. And I was like, I need to just put something that kind of goes through those. So yeah, I'm saying it out loud, but I think I probably will put that resource somewhere. Yeah, I got to think about where's the best place to actually put that. Or you can DM me. I'll be happy to send that over to you, because I think sometimes we have to get really, really clear on the roles. Our support team noticed that I didn't have either advisor or consultant on the board of directors, and that's because though both of those things have a very limited time and are usually for a very specific thing. Right. So they're not on your professional board of directors. You're tapping into them as you need them. But they don't have the input into the things and the outcomes that you're looking to drive for yourself. That's the reason why they weren't on the board of directors. But it's good to know those roles and what other people should just be on a support team. All right. Okay. So let's wrap up here with our closing. Again, like I said before, authentic, unapologetic. Those are the conversations that we have. This is how we actually do these things. Um, oh, I actually have another question. So, what we got? 3 minutes. I'm going to take this question from Reginald because it just popped in here. It said, Latrice, what pre-engagement steps would you recommend? For example, highly interested in the services Leader Keys provide. Prior to initiating the process, what would you suggest a client get together in order to hit the ground running? Okay, so actually, thank you for that question, Reginald. If you go, and it's actually on this slide, so perfect timing for that. If you go to my Calendly page, the calendly.com/leader keys, you can always book a discovery call with me. That is always the very first step that I would say. And that's for myself or for anybody else. Always start with a discovery call. Limit the time in terms of that. So that discovery call on my calendar is 30 minutes. And essentially, that's what we do is I start there. You will meet with me directly. Right now I'm doing all of the discovery calls because I'm able to then go, okay, what do we need to do? What do you need? And how can we be the right partner for you? Or are we the right partner for you? So that's the first step. I probably should have turned off the camera, turn on the camera. So yeah, start with the discovery call, calendly.com/leader keys. And then we go from there. All right. If you're asking that question just for yourself, again, same thing. You do that for people, start with that. If you're looking to engage in terms of building the board of directors and everything like that, we talk about this in the masterclass, but we talk about the reach out in terms of sending direct messages to people. What that sounds like. The direct messages says, I need X from you because you have Y, and it will impact me in this way, right? And then going through in terms of how you want that engagement to look. That's going back to the you drive, right? You drive the conversation, you drive the first engagement, you drive the way that the engagement is going to play out afterwards, right? So that's it. You drive, you pre-engage through inviting them, opening the door. Calendly is a great tool to use for that. Do discovery calls. All right. Schedule one with me if I'm your partner for you. I would love to work with you, and we will go from there. Thank you for your time. We're at time now. We're going to end on time. You can contact me, Latrice, at leaderkeysunlocked.com. Thank you very much. Have a good one.